Welcome to part 3 of the Security Playbook PML Educational Series. Let's get started. 3 facilities belong to the same organization. At the first, visitors show identification, receive temporary badges, and are matched to a host. At the second, visitors sign a paper log. At the third, the receptionist recognizes regular contractors and waves them through. Each site believes it has a visitor process. Only one organization exists, but 3 different standards are operating. This is a central signature of a Level 2 repeatable and siloed organization. Level 2 is an important step forward from initial and reactive. Some practices now repeat. A supervisor may run consistent briefings. One site may maintain useful post orders. Facilities team may track camera faults. A SOC shift may use a reliable handoff. But those practices remain dependent on location, department, vendor, supervisor, or even shift. The organization has pockets of capability, not one controlled operating method. The diagnostic question changes at Level 2. At Level 1, ask, does the capability depend on one person? At Level 2, ask, where does the practice repeat and where does it break? Look for that variation across the same 7 program areas. Start with leadership. At Level 2, parts of the governance structure exist. The security director may now own the program. A budget may be submitted annually. Some incidents reach leadership through a recurring report, but authority still changes by the business unit or facility. One regional leader supports security standards, another treats them as optional. Risk treatment decisions and escalation thresholds may be understood locally, but not consistently documented across the organization. The evidence is variation. Different reporting cadences, different approval paths, or resolved ownership at organizational handoffs. The move towards Level 3 is one governance model with documented decision rights, escalation thresholds, and a repeatable executive review rhythm appropriate to the organization. Second is policy and procedure. At Level 2, procedures exist, but they compete. Different sites maintain different post orders, review dates vary, local instructions may contradict corporate policy, personnel follow the version they know, not necessarily the current version. The misconception is that the existence of multiple documents prove maturity. It may prove activity. Level 3 requires controlled standards and verified across comparable operations. The next capability is document control. Define the authoritative standard, identify permitted local variations, assign owners, remove obsolete versions, and verify that personnel can use the current procedure. Third is people and training. At Level 2, training repeats, but its quality depends on the supervisor or vendor. One site uses a structured onboarding checklist, another relies on shadowing, one shift practices emergency notifications, another records attendance at a briefing without testing the task. Completion data can hide that variation. The next capability is a role-based standard, the same critical competencies, performance criteria, and verification method for comparable roles, with justified local additions for site-specific conditions. Fourth is physical security technology. At Level 2, some systems are managed. One facility has an asset inventory and preventative maintenance. Another keeps a spreadsheet that's 6 months old. A third calls a vendor only when equipment fails. Buying the same camera or access control product everywhere does not create a Level 3 capability. Standardization must include design intent, ownership, maintenance, and testing, fault escalation, records, and lifestyle decisions. The next capability is a common physical security technology standard with a reliable inventory, defined service responsibilities, minimum health checks, and documented expectations. Fifth is operations. At Level 2, incidents are recorded, but categories and response steps vary. A suspicious event may be urgent at one site, routine at another, and undocumented at a third. Dispatch expectations, notification thresholds, and shift handoffs depend on local practice. The next capability for common operating language here: standard incident categories, minimum required fields, severity definitions, core escalation expectations, and consistent handoff rules. Sixth is continuous improvement. At Level 2, reviews happen, but learning remains local. One team conducts useful after-action reviews, another closes findings without validating them. A third keeps an audit spreadsheet that leadership never sees. The next capability is a shared corrective action method. Common definition, named owners, due dates, status rules, validation, and a way to identify recurring issues across facilities. For the security playbook, the 7th core area is the SOC, the Security Operations Center. At Level 2, a SOC shift may operate well because its supervisor created useful workflows. Another shift may interpret alarms differently. Remote sites may call local contacts directly instead of following the SOC escalation path. Backup arrangements may exist but remain untested. The next capability here is a defined SOC operating model. Common workflows, clear division of responsibility, consistent operator training, controlled contacts, reliable handoff, and tested continuity arrangements. Now let's make the level check. An organization has a current visitor procedures at all 3 facilities. Each site trains its reception team, each site records visitors, but the badge rules, approval requirements, exception handling, and review methods are different. Just level 1, 2, or 3? The most defensible answer is level 2. The practice repeats, but the organization has not established and verified one expected method across comparable operations. Do not base that conclusion on one site visit. Sample comparable sites, shifts, vendors, and records. Ask the questions in each location. If the apparent variation comes only from different labels, while the required actions are consistent, the capability may be mature than it first seems. If the document looks aligned, but observation shows different decisions, the capability may be less mature. Record both rating and evidence. Notice the phrase comparable operations. Standardization does not mean every facility must operate identically. A hospital emergency entrance, a warehouse gate, and an administrative lobby may require different controls. Mature standardization defines the common minimum, documents justified verification or variations, and assigns authority for approving those variations. This prevents a common mistake, eliminating useful local adaptation in the name of consistency. So what moves a level 2 program towards level 3? First, map the variation. Compare sites, shift vendors, and departments using the same capability and evidence questions. Second, identify which differences are justified by risk, mission, facility design, law, code, or contract, and which may be simple historical habit. Third, define the authoritative minimum standard and method for approving exceptions. Fourth, train those comparable roles to the same critical competencies. Fifth, verify execution through records, observation, exercises, or audits. Documents alone do not establish level 3. Executive translation matters again. Do not say our sites need more consistency. Say all 3 facilities process visitors, but they use different approval and exception rules. We need one minimal visitor standard, documented site verification, and a verification review so leadership knows when access conditions are authorized. That statement separates an operating inconsistency from a request for blind uniformity. Level 2 is not a program with no process. It's a program with several processes competing to find normal. To move to level 3 happens when the organization decides what the expected method is, who controls it, who teaches it, and verifies what comparable operations use it. Next, we'll examine level 3, define and standardize, including the danger of paper maturity, where the documents look